Story 1. Unexpected door knocks. I live alone in a condominium gated community. Every now and then, someone knocks on my door. It must be a neighbor, but since I never knock on anyone's door, it frightens me. I have the door bolt locked. I don't even budge to check the peephole. If I'm expecting someone, that's fine, no problem. But a random door knock raises my heart rate, and I don't make a move toward the door. Story 2. I really hate knowing people know I poop. It's been a thing since childhood. I was adopted at 18 months from Russia, so the only logical explanation I can think of is that something happened at the orphanage regarding the bathroom, and I've repressed it subconsciously. Maybe I was beaten or hit or something, but I hate people knowing. It's irrational, but saying I have a shy attitude would be an understatement. I literally held it in for an entire 7-day Boy Scout summer camp one time. Is that bad? Story 3. Airport security. I get nervous, like, what if I accidentally packed a brick of cocaine in my suitcase? Or something. I have never done drugs in my life. Story 4. Bug infestations. I am terrified of having to deal with a bed bug infestation, so I am a total pain to travel with. Before we can even bring our luggage in, I have to check everything for bed bugs. Termites, no thanks. Our house has a slow-growing termite infestation that we spot treat for now, so I guess that's not so bad. But I dread having to tent the house. Roaches, we had those in Florida. But fortunately, in my part of the country now, they aren't very common in houses. But they're terrible. I just had nightmares about them last night. Stress dreams. Speaking of stress dreams, when I have them, it's either about being overrun by bugs or it's about social rejection, the other thing I'm strangely afraid of. Like, who cares if that person doesn't like me? I do care. It's terrible. I wish I didn't. But I do. Story 5. I have this weird thing where I'm worried one day I'll bite into an apple, but it's not an apple. It's like an apple-shaped piece of red marble or something decorative like that, and all my teeth shatter. Story 6. When I'm under some fireworks watching them so high in the sky, I think they're going to fall on me. Or when things are so high up in the sky and I think they're going to hit me. I don't know what this is called. Laughing out loud. Story 7. Alligators and crocodiles. No, I'm not joking. Anything that has survived the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event and has not changed for 66 million years, yes, I am very afraid of them. Story 8. Random house noises. I know it's normal, but I'm paranoid about the entire house just crashing down on top of me and being completely unaware that it's about to happen. It's gotten to the point that when I hear the toilet gurgle weirdly, I think it's going to blow up. This fear originated from a backed-up sewage system. My family lives on a farm. Not fun. Story 9. Empty parking lots. It's weird when there are acres of parking spaces on a weekday, but it's jammed with cars on the weekends. And then there's someone just parked in a random spot in the middle, sitting in their car and looking at everyone. Story 10. Dark windows. People can see in, but I can't see out. When I was a young kid, I woke up to a guy cupping his hands, looking into my window. When I was around 40, my older sister finally admitted the guy was one of her friends. Story 11. The sound of planes. I am actually really into aviation, and I love planes, but something about the sound of a plane that is low-flying just strikes pure terror into my heart every single time. Story 12. My basement. I'm a middle-aged adult, and I don't believe in ghosts. We've lived here almost 6 years, and the basement just really creeps me out for some reason. I've never been bothered by basements before, just this one. Story 13. I recently found out that I am weirdly afraid of that applanation tonometry device that eye doctors use to measure eyeball pressure. My brain says that it looks like a torture device, even though it does not hurt. Why can I not just have the eye puff test instead? Story 14. Getting stuck in a chimney face up in a sort of a V shape where you can't really move, and dying a slow, painful death while thinking of your loved ones and crying for help. Story 15. I won't let someone hand me something hidden in their palm by making a fist and then dropping it into my hand, if that makes sense. I am not sure what I am afraid it might be. Story 16. Old age. My family has a history of Alzheimer's and cancer. The idea of slowly losing memory of everything and everyone I've ever known while losing the ability to control my own body. I'd much rather live a short but merry life than a long one. Story 17. Hugs from people I am not close with make me tense up like I'm being electrocuted. Yes, I have some trauma issues, but I also know that being that afraid of affection is unusual. Today, I was hugged by a senior neighbor who was harmless. And if I could have, I would have crawled out of my skin. It was one of those squeeze you till it hurts hugs that I could not extricate myself from. I am genuinely the most affectionate person when I am completely comfortable with someone. People don't tend to ask me for hugs. They spring them on me like stealthy ninjas. If I could keep people at arm's length, I would. Yes, it is unusual. Story 18. Being possessed by the devil. I saw The Exorcist too young and somehow came to believe you had to invite the devil in. Then I'd think about it situationally and scream in my head. That's not permission. Story 19. I love silence and I love soundproof headphones. They're like magic stress reducers. But I can't wear them in public because it has the opposite effect where I won't be able to hear danger or cues from my environment that would prevent me from walking into danger as well. Also, looking out windows at night, but that's more of a superstition from where I grew up. Had a window peeper once, and I never forgot to close the curtains since. Creepy as anything, even if they're technically not real and it was probably just a person. Still unnerving. I feel like these make sense though and aren't that weird. Story 20. I am terrified of rabies. It is so dangerous, and you will not know you have it until you get symptoms. But once you feel the symptoms, your chances of survival are less than 1%. A lot of people think rabid animals are always super scary and aggressive, but they can also be very friendly and docile. If an animal that is typically instinctively afraid of people approaches you, like a deer or raccoon, there is a good chance it is rabid. Rabies is a neurological infection that essentially alters your brain by making you the opposite of your nature. This is why friendly dogs become aggressive and fearful deer become curious. Even a scratch can infect you. If you get a bite or scratch, get your rabies shots, people. Story 21. Okay, there's a lot of backstory, but turning into a girl. As a kid, I had a lot of female friends, and I believed karma worked like it did on television. So, if I said anything sexist, I would turn into a girl. It was a serious fear until I was 14, then jokingly until 17. But now I have a girlfriend, and she has made it very clear what would happen in this event. The fear is back with a vengeance. Story 22. Getting multiple Snapchat notifications in quick succession. I haven't had many friends in years. The last time I had an active Snapchat life was 3 years ago. One time I got multiple Snapchat notifications in a row, and I was like, no one snaps me, what the heck? And I looked, and it was a group chat of a bunch of guys making fun of me and saying sexually inappropriate jokes about me. Ever since then, every time I get multiple Snapchat notifications in quick succession, I'm worried it happened again and can't even check my phone for a few minutes afterward. More sad than weird, I guess. Story 23. Scary death roads. More commonly known as high-rise highways. Tall or short, I experience high anxiety when on them. I avoid them if I can, especially if driving alone. I am convinced the vehicle will take on a mind of its own and run over the side, and I plummet to my death. Driving on a road with a cliff does the same. Okay, gonna go slow my heart rate down now. Story 24. I have a few odd fears. Escalators. I don't know what it is about them, but every time I have to get on one, my anxiety goes through the roof and sometimes, but rarely, it puts me into panic attacks. Chickens. I was chased by a flock of them during a farm field trip in pre-kindergarten when trying to feed them seeds, and ever since, I can't stand them. Needles. I know it's not odd, but it is to me because I was able to sit down and get a tattoo done. However, getting a shot at a doctor's appointment? Haha, restraints are needed. Story 25. I have the classic fear of heights and also deep water. I'd like to try to stay alive and not increase the odds as they are pretty high due to risk-taking tendencies. I also will not mess with electricity. Forget that, not for me. Story 26. Instead of public naked dreams, I've had dreams where I go to work or school with no bra on. My girls need to be restrained, and for some reason, it's terrifying to me to have them all over the place in the workplace. Story 27. I knew wolf spiders existed, but I had never found one inside my house before a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm convinced they're hiding all over, and I just can't see them. Story 28. It's a weird one, but I don't like watching a tape being rewound. It looks so strange with everything going backwards. Red exit signs when the room is dark. Story 29. Falling. Like tripping. It's dumb, but anytime I slightly misstep, my whole heart stops and I get an adrenaline rush. Again, this is not from heights, and I'm pretty short to begin with. Story 30. I don't like balloons because I always think they're going to pop near me, and I have this weird unconscious belief that it will physically hurt when they do. Not like a particularly bad pain either, like the pain you get from a rubber band snapping back on you. Story 31. Touching door handles long before COVID-19. I need to use a sleeve or the bottom of my shirt. Even the handle on the inside of my bedroom door is too much. Story 32. That something will fall from a building and hit me in the head and kill me. Earlier this year, exploring Hong Kong, somebody who had jumped from their balcony above landed next to me, not 5 feet away. It sounded like a bomb, but then I turned around and it was a man. I think I will be slightly scarred for life. Always looking up. Story 33. Scare actors. I have nightmares where it's not zombies chasing me. It's people dressed like zombies and not touching me but getting way too close. And I get so upset and tell them to go away because they're freaking me out. They keep chasing me, and the mixture of fear, anger, and annoyance is too much, and I wake up shaking. I don't do haunted houses. Story 34. Being trapped in an elevator full of people. If too many people get in, I get out. I've even told people the elevator is full if I'm feeling especially bold that day. They are usually too surprised to argue with me, even though it's probably inappropriate of me. Story 35. For a while, I would always sleep with my hands covered by the blankets or pillow because I thought someone would crawl through my window in the middle of the night and cut my fingers off while I slept. Strangely, I never thought they would do anything else. I've outgrown it, but that irrational fear took up a good decade of my life. Story 36. Horses. Those things are way too big to be so flighty and easily spooked. Also, they sense your fear of them, which makes them even more terrifying. As soon as I see a horse, it's time to go home. Story 37. Unknowingly walking into spider webs. My Japanese in-laws have a traditional garden in their home with some trees and tall plants. Because of the location of our mailbox embedded on a wall facing the street, we have to walk through a narrow path in the garden to access the lock to remove the mail. There have been more than a few times where I walk straight into a web that a spider has built between plants or trees. It's the freakiest feeling on your face. There are times when the mailbox isn't checked until early evening, so it's more difficult to see. No way for me. I never walk through that garden at night. For the record, I'm not afraid of spiders, just don't like the feeling of a web in my face. Story 38. I'm afraid of being followed on my way home from work. I take different routes to get home. I had a stalker for a while who used to watch me when I would get off work. They left stickers and a note on my car. I wish I had a photo of it. I have to do a deep dive to find that video. Whenever I'm shopping, I make a list of what I need so I'm not in a store longer than 20 minutes. Story 39. One of my kids drowning. I have nightmares about it and the occasional intrusive thoughts which I don't experience for the most part. This one bugs me. We don't have a pool. Story 40. Loud, sudden noises. I can only enjoy fireworks if I cover my ears or have earplugs. I use earplugs when there is a thunderstorm nearby. I had to go to Party City to get something and avoided the balloon blowing station. Someone was trying to blow up some balloons, and unfortunately, the balloons kept popping loudly. I had to walk back by, and the cashier wanted me to check out at the balloon station. I asked if they could stop with the balloons because they kept popping, and I was having a panic about it. She said something was wrong with some of the balloons in the pack and they kept popping, but they would stop so I could check out. The 2 other customers there must have thought I was crazy. Story 41. Having to sneeze at the wrong moment. I am not one of those people who can suppress a sneeze easily. When I sneeze, it's loud, messy, wet, and ugly. I always have a handkerchief on me for emergency sneezing. Story 42. I'm not going to run for the hills or anything, but I am a little scared of them. I've never personally encountered anyone who's that short, probably nobody that was much under 5 feet. But the shorter a person is, the antsier I get at the idea of encountering them. It's not because I think they're dangerous or wrong. It's because I'm 6 feet 4 inches and I feel like if I were around them, my height would be a constant insult to them and just awkward, if that makes sense. I would feel uncomfortable because I would worry about making them uncomfortable. Story 43. I still can't bring myself to look common house geckos in the eye. They really creep me out. Even though they're harmless and pretty common, something about them just gives me the chills. Story 44. Looking up. Not a fear of heights, but a fear of just like that thought of just going and going and going and the suspense of just going down, but it never happening. Story 45. I am terrified of birds. Thinking of birds or seeing birds makes me scared, sometimes to the point of completely freezing. I see them in my nightmares too. Story 46. Masks, especially plain ones or ones missing features like the ones the Jabberwockies group uses. I love masquerade masks, but a lot of those are half masks so you can still see the person.